All right, we're gonna have a fun time today because I want you to imagine two scenarios. Imagine scenario number one where you're getting clients, people are adoring you, you changing their life. It's amazing. You making money, you getting notoriety. Your calendar is filled with the type of clients you want to work with. Sounds like a pretty good life, right? All right, now let's imagine scenario number two. It's a year from now and you're stuck in this same exact place. Think about that. Think about what it would look like going week after week, month after month, going an entire year, and you haven't moved the needle on your coaching business. Sounds depressing, right? So what's interesting about today is I want to answer some of the question, some of the questions that we have in our mind in terms of why our progress is going so slow. But but it's going to be in reference to our PCS bootcamp that we have coming up, which is one of the reasons why I'm doing this, because I want to empower people and let you know what my story was that changed my life from this one event that I went to. And it was literally, I believe it was the first event. It might have been. Especially the first event that I traveled to. So here's what's interesting. I had this, let me give you the backstory. So this came up because we have a boot camp that's coming up, PCS boot camp, New York City, March 29th. Mark your calendars. I'm showing you how to level up your business. And so you could be more consistent, focus on what you need to focus on, be able to get clients, transform lives. And as I was telling some folks about this, they were in a position where they were like, I don't really know if I can afford it. And, I got some things going on that weekend and, I'm not sure. And you know what? I would just research online, right? A lot of information online. Why not do that, right? So here's what's interesting. So I had this mentality 10 years ago when I started. I started off like, there's a lot of free information online. Why I'm not that pressed to be able to get coaching and have somebody tell me something that I could look up and research, right? Well, I quickly got out of that because I realized, one, there's a lot of information and I didn't even know what to do. I didn't know what strategy to follow. I didn't know who to follow. I didn't know where to go. So that in itself made me confused on like, okay, well, what do I even do? And I knew that there was gaps, right? And I didn't really, to be honest, I didn't have that much time to try to research every little thing that I needed to research. I'm like, yo, let me just find somebody that already been through this and they could just give me the gems and tell me exactly what I need to do to be able to win in my coaching business and be able to make money. Because I always wanted to make six figures. I couldn't do it. I've been trying to figure this out. How do I do it? So eventually I started going, I'm like, yo, let me start looking at some events. And I came up against this. I found this guy named Jeff Walker. Shout out to Jeff Walker, who is the owner of Product Launch Formula. He especially for years, he was one of the top guys showing you how do you do online marketing, how do you do these launches. Actually, he's the guy who really popularized launches online. When you hear people saying, "Oh, I'm doing this product launch, or I'm launching this thing, I'm launching this product, I'm launching this service," Jeff Walker was the guy. So he was doing an event in Phoenix, Arizona. And I'm in New York, right? So I'm all the way on the East Coast, but he's doing it in Arizona. But I'm like, yo, I want to go out to this event. But here was the problem, though. When I started calculating everything, I'm like, okay, shit, I gotta try. Okay, so that's flight. I'm like, okay, then I gotta, that's the ticket for the event. Then I'm like, okay, now I gotta also do flight. And then I also gotta do hotel. And I'm adding this up, right? And this probably came to about $1,000, right? About a stack. And so I'm like, all right. So I'm looking like this is all the money that I had at the time. Like literally, it was exactly the amount of money that I had. And I said, well, and by this time, I've already been coaching for a year and I wasn't making any money. I was struggling. I was having a hard time. I was trying to figure it out. Felt like I probably quit about a dozen times in my head, but I'm like, I got to figure this thing out. So I end up going to, so I'm like, all right, you know what? Let me at least buy the ticket. Cause I'm like, if I buy the ticket, then that'll allow me to, I have to go, right? So I'm like, let me buy this ticket. So I end up buying a ticket. I'm like, all right, now I got to figure out the hotel. Now I got to figure out like how I'm going to, what I'm going to do with the flight. I got to figure all that out. So I was able to save up some money, hustle up the money to be able to afford it. And from that point, um, because it was all my money, I actually didn't have any money to spend on anything else. I literally didn't have any money to spend on a bar. I didn't have money to spend on going to Hooters and buying food. So I actually brought my own food, right? Like I brought some sandwiches and I'm like, yo, this is what I have to eat because I don't have time. I can't be eating out every night. It was like a 3-day trip. And I just didn't have the money to eat out like that. But I'm like, I gotta get in a room. And I didn't go there for the bar. I didn't go there for the food. I didn't go there for none of that. I went there because I need to learn the information that's going to be in the room. The people that is on the stage at the front of this room obviously figured out something that I did not figure out. So I need to make sure that I go there, I lock in, I take the notes, I meet the people I need to meet. Because if I'm going to sacrifice my last dollar to do this, I better take it serious. And I better get a return on my investment. And I put that on me to be able to do that because I already know what it looks like to not get results. So I'm like, let me at least try to do something. And you understand what I'm saying if you've been trying to build this business for a minute, but you don't understand why it's not working for you. When you're like, man, I've been putting in the work. I've been trying every day. I've been researching. I've been doing things, but my progress isn't moving as fast as I wanted to move. What do I need to do? So that's what I did. And I hustled. And guess what? I learned exactly what I needed to learn. This is really me learning a lot about how do I do online marketing. I learned a lot about that. I learned a lot about how to do email marketing. I learned a lot about the psychology of people and how to promote and how to market and what gets people to respond and what gets them to listen and pay attention. And how do you rivet people around it? How do you get people to pay attention? How do you provide your message in a way that's dissectable and digestible to the audience? I learned a lot about marketing. I learned a lot about mindset. I learned a lot about just consistency. I learned about these things, and these were the initial seeds that was planted in my mind. This was back in 2016. We in 2025 right now, right? This was 2016. So I got all these seeds planted, and guess what? I didn't become successful immediately, but I started the process and journey of building the habits, putting in the work, trying, testing, paying attention, getting better, honing the skills, getting better at writing copy, getting better at sending emails, getting better and more comfortable with doing videos. I wasn't even always comfortable shooting videos. I had to get comfortable getting on YouTube and putting out clips and talking in front of people and talking on stages. I had to get comfortable doing that. But guess what? I started being more consistent with it, and boom, 2018, I started a program that's called the Playbook, the Coaching and Speaking Program. I started that program, and those initial things that I learned at that event is what gave me the confidence and the knowledge in order to be able to launch my coaching business. And guess what? I've been applying those principles, and obviously you learn upon them, but I started applying those initial principles, and guess what? Boom. To date, we've enrolled over 588 clients into this program. 588 coaches have enrolled and been through my program. And it all started from me going to an event that I could not really afford like that. But it changed my life because of what I learned, although I couldn't do everything I wanted to do. So what's really the moral of the story is that don't give yourself any excuses to say why you can't come. Saturday, March 29th, make it out, figure it out. Don't give yourself no excuses. And if you need to plan everything, if that's the type of person you are, plan it out. You know what I'm saying? Say, okay, cool. Who's going to watch the kids? Or, okay, look, I know I was supposed to work this day, but maybe let me tell them I'm off this day, and then I'm going to make it up. I'm going to make it up the next week. If you're taking care of somebody, get somebody else to take care of them for that day. This is one day. New York City, Staten Island, right? You might have been following me for a minute, or I don't know, maybe you just discovered me, but I would love to meet you. I would love to have a conversation. I would love for us to take some pictures, right? I would love to be by your side, showing you exactly what you need to do. I would love to be able to have you meet my friends. I got some very successful friends that are going to be coming out, by the way. These are not just starting coaches. I have people who are very successful that's already promised me they're going to come out. and one of them I'm interviewing. So I'm telling y'all right now, this is going to be an event that if you've never been to a live event with me, this is going to be the event that you want to attend with me. I'm telling you right now, this is something that you're going to want to be at. So the link is called pcsbootcamp.com. pcsbootcamp.com. Right now, I'm going live like on Facebook, Instagram, and we on YouTube right now. But it is pcsbootcamp.com. You could go grab a ticket. I'm gonna answer a couple more questions, but if you already know that you want to come or you want to look into it, feel free to jump off the live and just go right there and go ahead and grab your ticket, check out the page. You know what I mean? Like, feel free to go do that. All right, because I want to see y'all win, man. I want to see you win. All right, so let's talk about a couple. I want to address a couple of things specifically. I'm putting the link in. I'm putting the link for my Facebook people right now. All right, cool. So one, right? So what if you say, yo, I could learn all of this for free, right? So let's address that for a minute. There's a lot. If you remember the story that I just told you, I said there's a lot of information online. The challenge is there's a lot of different strategies that you could do. And all of those strategies that you could do are things that could take you in a different direction, right? You know, think about this. Let's say, you know, you want to help people and you're like, oh man, you know, I'll give you a simple example. Let's say you say, I want to change lives. I want to be a business coach. Okay, great. You want to help entrepreneurs. I love it. Now, think about all of the different types of ways you can put out information and content, right? You could do it through books. You could do it through live events and trainings. You could do it through speaking engagements. You could do it through your own, you could do it through coaching. You could do it through digital courses. Let's just say, so those are pretty much like the core ways. Well, guess what? One, depending on what your core objective is, if it's to, like, say, make more of an impact or make more money, well, then you got to evaluate you got to know how to evaluate which opportunities to take or which types of products or services to focus on first. Most people don't even know coaching is the highest form. Why do you think anytime for you to get one-on-one of somebody's time in any industry is always the most? You ever notice that? It's not the most to come to the event. It's not the most to be on. It's not the most if you went to a concert, let's say for a celebrity or whoever, right? You went to a concert for Chris Brown. You went to a Chris Brown concert. It is this, you sitting in that audience of 30,000 people is going to be less money than you going backstage. Why? Because there's less people backstage. You have more access to Chris Brown, right? Imagine if Chris Brown was coaching you one-on-one. You have to pay even more money to be coached by Chris Brown, right? So you going backstage is more access. You working with him day to day is even more access versus you sitting in a crowd of 30,000 people. You see what I'm saying? Which means that for people to have more access to you is going to cost more money. But you don't know that if there's a lot of information and you don't know which strategy to use. It could be the same thing with marketing. There's a lot of different ways to market, but what's the best strategy? And even if you do say, okay, I want to go to Facebook ads, and Facebook ads is the route that I want to go to be able to market my business. Okay, great. But you still got to know how to do it. You got to know the tech of how to set it all up, but you still got to know the strategy to make it work. And then you still got to know the strategy to get people to show up to the calls. And then you still got to know the strategy to make the sales. And you still got to know the strategy of how to put together your coaching program. And you still got to know how the strategy of how to create the offers and to do the pricing and why this price is better than this price and how to even get confident in what you charge. There's literally 1,000 questions. Now, you can try to piecemeal it together and learn a little bit from here, learn a little bit from here, try ChatGPT or some other language models to learn and try to keep piecing things together. But here's the thing is that it takes a lot of work. It's going to take you a lot of work versus somebody being able to share with you their experience and walk you through exactly what's been working for them. And there's a specific process that they use. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what we're going to be covering in this boot camp. So yeah, there's a lot of information that could put you directionally correct online. They could get directionally correct, but I found that when I have somebody that's keeping me accountable, that's giving me the specific strategies that they use, I find it way easier. Because believe it or not, even before, AI came out, we still had Google. You still was able to research information and get certain things. So It's the same thing. Like, you have to actually take the action and get things done. You could research all day, but you still got to get up and take action. So that's really that. Now you say, well, what about the money to travel? I kind of already touched upon that, right? So if you don't have the money, find a way to make it work. Don't just throw your hands up and say, oh, I can't afford the flight or the travel, whatever. Do what you got to do. If you got to take a bus, get to New York City on a bus. If you got to take a train, take a train. Like, it's about you getting in the room that's going to create opportunities for you, that gives you the ability to change the trajectory of your family, that gives you the ability to learn the strategies that's going to allow you to not make the mistakes and actually make this year the best year of your life. Aren't you ready to get a reward? I know there's a lot of folks that rock with me, follow me, that's like, you've been trying this. This ain't like your first rodeo. This ain't your first time learning about growing your coaching business. You've probably been trying to do this for months or years at this point. You got to get in the room and get around people. The smartest people know that. If you ever notice, the most successful people always talk about other people they know. You ever notice that? It's always a who conversation that they pulling in. It's about what you know, but it's also about who you know. So you got to get around other people, and there's certain things you're going to learn in the room that you just can't learn everywhere else. There's going to be certain conversations that's going to be more important that's going to happen in the hallway. They're possibly what you can even learn. You never know. I mean, I've gotten a lot of information just pulling people to the side and asking them, what they doing? What you doing? How does this work for you? Oh, this, boom, making a connection. One of the connections that I made at a mastermind that I was participating in, one of the guys, we connected on a couple webinars, and he made like 10 grand from the connection that we got. You know what I mean? So that's super important. And then the third thing is having a lot of responsibilities. I know it could be hard to have to try to make this work, and you got responsibilities at home. Maybe you taking care of a parent or a loved one, maybe taking care of kids, maybe you just have certain responsibilities that you do on a weekend with people or whatever the case is. You got to take the time to do things for yourself, because if you can't take the time to do this for yourself, that sounds like prison to me, to be honest with you. Whatever is going on, like, if you can't take the time out and say, yo, I just need to take a day. I just need a day to put priority on myself. I just need to take a day out to make sure that I'm focused on my purpose, and I'm focused on my dream and what's important to me. I just need to take a day out to do that. If you can't take a day out, that's tough. That's tough. Imagine working at a job and you never got a day off, and you had to work all day. That's tough, right? So imagine, you don't want to be in that. You don't want to be in a prison for anything. You don't want anything to make you feel restricted, that you can't even pursue and fulfill the very dreams that you have in your heart to fulfill. So, so make the adjustments. And that's why I told you the story earlier, because I just made the adjustments. That was it. Like, my adjustment was, I figured it out. I went to an event and it changed my life, but I didn't even have all of the money, and I had to make sandwiches. That was my story, right? But I was willing to put in the work in order to be able to do that. And I spent my last dime going to this event, but it was worth it. And look, I'm still here 9 years later. That happened in 2016. I'm still here 9 years later from when I started. And I started this industry in 2015. Still around, right? And it's because I was willing to go out to events. I was willing to network and connect with people. I was willing to learn from people who already been doing it before me, not being big-headed, not thinking I know everything, not thinking that, the most successful people are the people that's always learning. The more you learn, the more you realize you need to learn, because there's always another level that you can take it to. So never get too big-headed and think you can't learn and get something. I don't care how successful you are already. You're something you can always take away. You know what I mean? So with that being said, pcsbootcamp.com. Go there and check it out. Go review the page. If you can make it out to New York, make it out. I don't care if you got to drive, fly. I don't care if you got to swim. I don't care if you got to take a bike, take a bus. Make it out. I want to meet you in person. I want to see you. I want to shake your hand. And I want us to be able to have a good time. We got VIP tickets too, by the way. Oh, by the way, by next Friday, the ticket prices are going to double. So right now, all prices are half off. We got the regular early bird price is half off, so that's $49. And then also we have a VIP